All right, we're officially back. Oh my God, you guys, it has been 2 years. It's been literally 2 years since I've, since you guys have listened to me, since you guys have heard me. We're doing something a little bit different this time. As you guys can see, I have a new setup, different vibe, much cozier, and you can see me now. There's a video component. Podcast times have changed in the last 2 years, and it was time for a reboot. I've had so much happening in my life, and this has been something that I really wanted to get back into. I really wanted to start up again, and I wanted to do it better, bigger, bolder, more exciting, more consistent, more fun, more personal. You guys know I love to get personal on the pod. But without further ado, welcome back. Girl, put your phone on D&D. Okay. Without further ado, welcome back to the Subtopics Podcast with your host, Sarenajade. Oh my God. It is so crazy to be doing this and like sitting in front of a camera again and talking to you guys. Where have I been? So much has happened since the last time I spoke to you guys. The last episode of season 1 was with one of my really good friends who I miss so dearly. If you're watching this, it was with Izzy, and literally so much has happened since then. So at that time, I was still in college. I was finishing up my last semester, and I was fresh out of a relationship. I was still doing nails. I talked a lot about like my business entrepreneurship. I talked a lot about starting my business, how my business was going, dealing with clientele, etc., etc. And my life completely did a 360 right after that, which is one of the reasons why I stopped doing the podcast, because I was literally so busy. I'm just going to bullet point a few of those updates, and then we'll really dive into the nitty-gritty of where I've been and what's been going on. So my last episode was 2022, like April-ish. It is now February of 2024, almost 2 whole years later. I graduated college. I began working as a labor and delivery nurse. So I studied for my NCLEX. I took my NCLEX. I did the whole job search thing, and I applied to my dream job, and I got it. So that's what I'm doing now. I got pregnant. Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure that I was already pregnant when I recorded that last episode. I just didn't know it yet. So I got pregnant, had a baby, became a mom. My baby just turned 1 now in January. I moved twice. So at that apartment that I started recording the podcast in, I moved from there. That was in Queens. I moved to Brooklyn, and then I moved again to the Bronx. So that's where I live now. I currently live in the Bronx. I stopped doing nails. The summer that I was looking for a job as a nurse and I was pregnant and it was just so much going on, I really didn't have the capacity mentally or physically to continue taking clients, especially home-based, as I was going to be bringing in a baby. So I stopped doing nails. Occasionally, I take friend clients here and there, and I'll still do my own nails, but I'm not doing it on as much of a regular basis as I was doing, where I had like my whole studio space and like a complete nail room set up. That's done for now. Maybe we'll bring Slade by Sarena back, maybe not. Who knows? I got into a new relationship. At the time of my last episode recording, I was talking to my current partner, and then obviously I got pregnant. And thankfully, before I even found out that I was pregnant, we were already really feeling each other. So we were already taking things pretty seriously, and we're still together. If you follow me on Instagram, you see what's going on with my life. You see who I'm with. You see who he is. He's amazing, wonderful. Love you so much. And yeah, so that's the current relationship that I'm in. I started video game streaming, which is so out there, unexpected, random, but that's something that I started doing, and it's been really fun and something for me to just do like in my free time. It's been really amazing. I also, this is something that I talked about on my podcast before. I was going to therapy, stopped going to therapy, started going to therapy again, and now I've stopped therapy again. Not by choice, but it's been a roller coaster. So talking about therapy and mental health is obviously a common theme of the things that I like to talk about, and something that I will continue to talk about on this season of Subtopics. It's something I'm really passionate about. It's something that I really believe strongly in, and definitely something that we'll be getting more into depth in on the pod. I think that's everything. What else? I don't know. I restarted the podcast, period. So we're here. This is what we're doing. I'm so excited to be getting down into the nitty gritty, getting vulnerable with you guys. Public vulnerability is literally so fun, and like, I guess the word I'm looking for is like connecting. Like, I love connecting with the people who watch my podcast and listen to my podcast and reach out to me about the things that I talk about and the things that we say. I love that. There's literally nothing more that I adore and love more than connecting with you guys. Okay, I don't even know where to begin. So I guess the biggest thing that's happened in my life over the last 2 years, almost 2 years, has really been like my transition from a student to an adult to a mother. Like, literally, I had to do all those things much quicker than somebody who's in their regular post-grad season. Like, anybody normally would still be considering themselves like post-grad 2 years after graduation. Like, it's such a large adjustment, and I was kind of not forced, because obviously it was my choice on what I wanted to do and how I decided I wanted my life to go. I had to kind of do everything so much more quickly and figure my shit out so much more rapidly than normal. It's been hard, girl. It's been so hard. I did not work from the time of graduation, May, until basically I got hired at the end of August of 2022. So that was, 3-4 months without seeing a paycheck. And like I said, I wasn't doing nails anymore. So it was so rough, like, especially dealing with being pregnant. I was like chronically tired. I didn't really have morning sickness, but I had nausea in like a lot of other kinds of ways, and I would get like random bouts of nausea. Definitely my whole pregnancy experience, I want to make one whole episode, so I'm not going to hone in too much on what exactly my pregnancy was like, but it was the hardest and most beautiful thing. But my transition from becoming a student to an adult was just like, whoa. I started my nursing job about 6 months pregnant, and not even, I think 5 months, I was almost 24 weeks. So I got, 6 months pregnant. I was starting my job. So everybody knew I was pregnant when I started. Everybody was like, look at this new girl starting her first big girl job, and she's literally pregnant. Like, everybody was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But I did it, and it was crazy, but I just feel like it just made everything so much more of an adjustment, because I was putting all this physical strain on my body, and it was just hard. Like, working 12-hour shifts during orientation. I was working the day shift, so that was 8 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. And I would just be so exhausted. And at that time, I was living in Brooklyn. So my commute was literally an hour. And thank God my man would literally pick me up from work every single day, and we would take the train home together. But it was just such a drag. Like, I would be so exhausted. My body was always sore, always in pain. It was rough. And then straight from there, I had to get ready to become a mom. Like, And that has also been like the hardest and most beautiful blessing that's ever entered my life. And I'm so lucky to be able to do what I love as a labor and delivery nurse and bring new babies into the world every single day, and also get to come home to my beautiful baby. I'm truly living my dream life. But I just feel like I never got like a proper smooth transition from all the stages. Like it was just not as planned. But I don't think I would have it any other way. Like I think that everything happened the way it happened for a reason, and that it was meant to happen this way. And I wouldn't be the person I am today had I not been forced to make these big girl decisions when I had to make these big girl decisions. And I thank God every single day that I'm even in the position to have been able to have a baby and be able to provide for my baby and be able to provide for our household and live in a beautiful apartment where my son has his own room, like has food on the table, never goes without. And it's just such a blessing. Also, something that I want to make kind of a follow-up episode to an episode in my last season. I talked about maintaining relationships when you're in a relationship, and I think that was the episode that I did with my ex. At that time we were living together, no longer living together. Obviously it's been 2 years. So much has happened about like with that, but it's definitely something that I want to talk about in a separate episode. But I think that especially being in a new and different relationship, in the relationship that I'm currently in, I feel like we never developed a kind of sense of codependency. Like obviously we're codependent because we live together, we share a child together, we depend on each other for a lot of things, but not in the way that is toxic, if that makes sense. Like it's not too much. So I've had to learn how to balance and maintain relationships in my life because of a different reason, right? Because I have a full-time job now where I work nights, 8 p.m. to 8:30 a.m., and I have a baby to take care of during the day. I have a relationship that I'm in that I care about nurturing and spending time with him. I am doing so much and also trying to focus on self-care that it's really hard to balance the interpersonal relationships in my life, like to hang out with my friends, to hang out by myself, to do things for myself, and not to get caught up in taking care of the house, taking care of the baby, taking care of my man, and finding that balance. Definitely something to look forward to on this season. I can literally talk about that all day because it's still something that I continue to practice and get better at and learn more about every single day. It's so difficult to do as an adult, especially when you have so many responsibilities. I will also probably be talking about like updates on this relationship and the things that I've learned in this relationship. You guys know this is the podcast about life, relationships, love, spirituality, business, all of the things that I'm passionate about. You guys know I'll be bringing to you guys, talking about the things that I share, that I learn about, the things that my man shares with me. I'm gonna bring it to y'all. We're all growing constantly, and this relationship has taught me so much about myself, about the way that I communicate, about the way that I love, about the way that I like to be loved. And yeah, this relationship is completely new to you guys, so as I go through this season, as I talk about it more, you guys are going to get to learn about our dynamic and the way I function now in this new relationship, and the healthy and unhealthy things that I've learned about the entire experience. It's definitely different than any relationship I've ever been in before. Obviously, this is my first serious relationship with a man, which is crazy. But it is, and it's been beautiful, and it's been enlightening, and it's been one hell of a ride. So we'll talk about all that on the podcast. I am gonna give you guys like a quick little backstory just on how my man and I met, and I will definitely talk more about it in a different episode because I already have like a whole topic in mind surrounding like manifestations and different belief systems behind meeting like the love of your life or whatever. But me and my man, actually met on Tinder. I know, that's so crazy. We met on Tinder twice. So, before I got with my previous ex, the one that you guys heard on the podcast with me, I was on Tinder. That was 2019. So, me and Jay, that's his name, we met in 2019 and we texted for like a couple weeks. Not even, maybe 2 weeks at most. I don't really remember. But we matched then. Flash forward 3 years later, almost exactly 3 years later, we match again without knowing that we had matched in the past. So I literally like swipe on his profile. I think I ended up messaging him first and I was like, you look so familiar, but I have no idea where I know you from. At this point, I'm in my last year of college. Like, I've met so many people throughout the last 4 years of college. I don't know if I know you or not. It's Tinder. Like, be so for real. He's like, I never saw you before in my life. I have no idea who you are. And I'm like, cool, bet, whatever. You're probably right. I'm tripping. Well, so then we keep texting on Instagram. We're texting on Instagram. And then we're like, oh, let's FaceTime. So we exchange numbers. We go to text one another. And my man does not delete messages on his phone. Like, he has every message he's ever had in every iCloud history. So when we go to text each other, he literally has our text from 2019. And he's like, no fucking way that we literally texted before. And I was like, I knew you. I knew you looked familiar. Bop, bop, bop. And then the rest is history. We were inseparable after that. I'm sure he would tell this story differently. And maybe one day we'll have him on the podcast to tell his perception of the way our relationship began and flourished. But literally after the first time that we hung out almost every single day since then. I think like the first 2 weeks we spaced out the days that we would hang out. But after that, I would be at his apartment or he would be at mine almost every single day. And then we had a baby. So then we moved in together and now we're happily ever after in love. And we have a beautiful baby boy who, if you also follow me on Instagram, you've also seen Kai around. I think that's really honestly all I want to touch on in this first episode because it's really just an introduction to what's to come more on season 1. And I'm so excited to be back on the mic, back with a video component so you guys can see me, so we can feel more connected. You can see what's going on. I want it to be cozy vibes, chill. You come here, grab a cup of coffee, listen, like eat your breakfast, eat your dinner, and just like chill with me and relax. And I'm so excited to have like this outlet to be able to just come and say what's on my mind. Like season 1, I would literally have a thought, have something to say, and I would literally just be like, I have to record a podcast right now. I literally have to record what I want to talk about right this second before this thought leaves my mind. So I'm so excited to be back sharing with you guys. I hope you stay along for the ride. I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to be posting every single week, hopefully on Sundays. But, we do our own thing over here and there's no pressure. So I hope you guys tune in and I'm so excited to start this journey back up. I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in to Subtopics with Sarena Jade. I love you guys.